Well, here we are, the last week of our Advent season, preparing us for a rebirth in each of our hearts of the message that God sent us through Jesus. During the Advent season, we have heard a great deal about John the Baptist, how John sent his followers, as John sat in prison, to ask Jesus a very interesting question, which was, "Are you the one to come, or should we look for another?" And Jesus answered, if you remember, by telling the followers of John to relate to him in prison all that Jesus has done, how kind and merciful he has been to all people, and all the healing that he has done. And then he says, tell John, ask John, or just tell him, blessed is he who takes no offense at me. Kind of seems like a strange dialogue, but when we understand what was going on, it makes sense. John preached the wrath of God toward sinners. This is the kind of Messiah that John and many at the time expected. They didn't expect Jesus. And as we know, many took offense. So Jesus wondered if John also took offense, which of course John was able to integrate and understand who this Jesus was. His expectations were kind of blown. Another kind of Messiah God sent, not one that preached like John. One who tells us of a God who loves all those people that so many find reprehensible. That God loves all those people as much as God loves us. And people did take offense at that. How about us today? Are we offended by God's unconditional love for all? Because this is basically what we celebrate in a week's time. We celebrate the birth that took place 2,000 years ago, but the message of Jesus that we hear, the message of God that we hear through Jesus. To let go of our preconceived ideas of a judgmental, threatening God and open our minds and hearts to a God who is total love and forgiveness. That no one is outside of God's love. Not prisoners, not people of different races or color or sexual orientation, not the poorest of the poor, not migrants, not tax collectors, not prostitutes, and the list goes on and on. A God who loves the poor. God loves all people as much as God loves each one of us. See, this is the message Jesus brought to us 2,000 years ago. This is the Messiah that God meant to send. This is the message we celebrate at Christmas. As the author Pat Marin writes, the God of surprises. God didn't send a Messiah to preach judgment and condemnation. This is what they expected. But God surprised the world with a totally new understanding of God, who created all things. So let us not be offended by this Messiah that we celebrate next week. Let us struggle to take this message deep into our hearts in order to renew the face of the earth. Have a very peaceful last week of our Advent season.